explorations and discussions, and you would come away with a much deeper understanding of the subject, but I suppose it is fitting that we just don't have the time. So in an effort to follow the new instructional model of drill and skill, I will just tell it to the class, and hopefully you will retain it long enough to fill in the correct bubble. A budget is a moral document, as well as a financial one. It identifies what we value more and what we value less. It establishes your educational priorities. I assume the class has read their homework assignment, so let's discuss Superintendent Jones's preliminary reforms report. In it, he lists as part of Principle 1, getting bang for our buck and return on investment. I will admit, class, that it made me wonder how a school district could place their leading principle, return on investment, above their most obvious mission, delivering a quality education to every child in Clark County. But as I said, a budget is a moral document as well as a financial one. So I'd like you to consider these questions. Can we draw a conclusion about the values demonstrated through Principle 1? Can we identify this district's priorities? I suppose that there are those in this class who would suggest that more evidence would be needed to draw such a conclusion. Good for you. Critical thinking is still valued in my classroom, at least for the time being. So I submit to the class that the very next document generated by the superintendent's office, the Gibson Report, an efficiency study. Well, did we do a best practices study? Did we hire a consulting firm to study what wraparound services are being offered to scaffold the many English language learners in our district? Perhaps we could have done a study on what an average state can expect to spend on an average student in an average year. That wasn't the case. We did an efficiency study. Clearly, what matters most to our school system, what we consider to be job one, is making sure that every dollar is stretched as far as possible. I submit to you, class, that when you set the wrong priorities and budget accordingly, you can make the situation much, much worse. And since my 3 minutes aren't yet up, I thought I'd voice one last thought. When you campaign for school board, you ask the public to trust and believe in your leadership. Trust and believe in your leadership. I find it interesting that you appear to have abdicated your leadership responsibility and now have instead followed the convenient route of allowing the superintendent to make all of these critical policy decisions. A reevaluation of the mission of the school district is needed, and it's needed in a hurry. I don't know what concerns me more, when someone who doesn't understand the impact that these critical decisions have on our students claim to be an educational expert, or when someone who does understand the implications of this and may believe our current priorities need to be revisited, stand idly by and allow us to chart a misguided course toward failure. Class dismissed.